A very good morning and welcome back. EURUSD has continued its overall pullback in towards the upside as we pretty much expected, as the dollar index took out that NFP high of the 1st of August, which we were highlighting and where we were expecting a potential pullback from. Now, for EURUSD, we are back in an area of interest for potential shorts back in towards the downside, continuing the overall 4-hour and internal daily trend, which we've been trading for quite some time now. If we follow the overall 4-hour trend, we can clearly see that we had the first impulse over here back in towards 0.5 fib, the retracement, and then again another inside or downside push, then again a retracement in towards 0.5 fib, a downside push, and then again a downside push with a retracement towards a 0.5 fib. Now, the current impulse and let's say retracement that we are seeing has not yet retraced in towards the 0.5 fib, making the overall setup, which we can currently see here on our charts, a little bit riskier. However, what I do like is that we have retraced back in towards the weekly and the monthly open. We have taken out liquidity, which is slightly more clear if you view the 1-hour time frame, where you have some beautiful descending highs here. We've taken out all of that liquidity, tapped in towards that 4-hour area of supply, and from here there is now potential for EURUSD to make a drop in towards the downside. Now, what I'll be monitoring at this point in time is the 4-hour fractal structure, with the 4-hour fractal low being extremely close. What I would like to see is a 4-hour fractal low break, then a retest of that weekly and monthly open level with internal liquidity being taken on, for example, the 1-hour, and then you could, for example, look for a short position. Other than that, I would otherwise expect that EURUSD just continues its overall leg further in towards the highs, back up towards, for example, this liquidity over here, and towards the overall 0.5 fib retracement level. Now, looking at the 1-hour time frame as well, you can see we just grabbed some liquidity here on the 1-hour, and therefore I'm just waiting for the 4-hour fractal structure to shift itself bearish to confirm that this supply zone is valid and that there is actually potential for any shorts. Otherwise, I just see the weekly and the monthly open acting as a support level and pushing us further in towards the upside. Therefore, we need to see some confirmed momentum before looking for any potential shorts. Now, looking at the dollar index retraced back down in towards the weekly and the monthly open as well, finding some supports, taking out some ascending low liquidity here. Still, the overall preferred retracement on the dollar would happen in towards this 4-hour demand zone that we have over here, which would align beautifully with the internal daily demand and the overall sell down before the big buy up. So preferably still a further retracement down lower on the dollar index, and it is likely that we will not see a setup on EURUSD until next week. Again, I'm still favoring further upside from the dollar. However, we are currently just not in the ideal area to look for a potential long. If you draw in as well the premium versus discount tool, you can see that we are still trading at a premium, and therefore see a retracement still further in towards the downside. Now, this again is our ideal long area together with this long area over here, the lowest liquidity low. So I'll be waiting for those lows to get hit before really looking to scale in aggressively in towards EURUSD short positions. Other than that, keep an eye on the 4-hour fractal structure on EURUSD and how we react to the weekly and the monthly open here, as if we do see that further upside push and we see that EURUSD starts to break 4-hour fractal structure, we could potentially get into a short position. Going into GPUSD, we can see that GU has retraced up higher as well. Personally, I still see GU heading down lower, though I must say that it's not currently at the best area of value. Now, I've seen these kind of setups play out many times before, where we just see a simple continuation trade back in towards downside from the weekly and the monthly open and from this daily fractal structure / supply. However, again, the ideal setup will obviously always take place from where? Well, from the 0.5 Fibonacci retracement at least, right? So that's preferably also where I would be waiting for another setup. Yes, you can take trades here. However, these are very aggressive setups and you want to be taking them preferably as well on the lower time frame, for example, on the 15-minute. Now, if I view the 15-minute time frame here, still there's nothing really of interest at the moment. I don't really see any setups. Also looking here at the 1-hour time frame, I don't really see any setups. All I see are some descending highs in towards the downside here. The overall 1 hour fractal structure is also a little bit lower still, so no current immediate setup there on GPUSD. Unless we start breaking the overall 1 hour fractal structure and gain some momentum, then you could potentially look for some 50-minute setups. Other than that, I'm still waiting for a deeper reaccumulation in towards the upside before looking for those higher probability short positions. Going into ADUSD, we can see that AU dumped down lower yesterday. The main reason for this dump was the news that Trump might have to so this and the Canadian dollar depreciated in value, causing a rapid decline in the price of ADUSD. For myself, I'm still not looking for a long position here on AU until we preferably take out all of the equal lows all the way down over here. For myself, we're just building up liquidity, so I'm not favoring any longs at the moment for AU, despite the overall market structure still remaining bullish and favoring overall upside. For myself, the dollar index is just too bullish at the moment to verify or to justify, any further long positions on ADUSD. We can clearly see that we have the overall impulse up. Yes, we retraced back down towards this daily internal liquidity low, and yes, we have some demand over here. However, this demand and this area of consolidation failed to break market structure here and just push price in towards supply and in towards the free monthly open, from where we push down lower again. Therefore, I would preferably see another sweep of the lows, and then maybe in the future we can look for longs again. But for myself, this is just too low probability of a setup, and therefore not a setup that I'm actually willing to take at this point in time. Going into NDUSD, we could see that NU itself has pushed further in towards downside with that overall risk off push towards the yearly open, much more aggressive than I would have liked. I would have loved to see an overall retracement further in towards the upside, towards our overall liquidity points / the monthly open to get involved. However, again, with the overall risk off sentiment in the world at the moment, it's just not put out for us. Now, what I'm waiting for on NDUSD is a potential pullback trade from the overall yearly open back up higher. So if you are looking for longs, the yearly open could provide you with a overall pullback opportunity once you see some lower time frame confirmation in the form of, for example, a 4-hour fractal structure shift, as the yearly open is a key level from where we could look for a potential pullback trade back up higher towards, for example, these equal highs here, or even towards the weekly and monthly open up over here. So I will only be looking for potential longs on NDUSD from that yearly open, and for the rest, I don't really see any trading opportunities at this current moment and time. Then going on into USD CHF, USD Yen, USD CAD and Gold. USD CHF still bullish. I'm not really looking for shorts on this at the moment or trying to call the top. For myself, we haven't really done anything too much. We still have descending highs here. So yeah, for myself, looking left, right, so where did we react to or where did we react from? Nothing significant at all. So yeah, for myself, again, waiting for higher prices still before you could validate any potential. We're just grabbing some liquidity, and this could just fuel the next leg up. So if you really are looking for a short position on USD CHF, wait for maybe another push up, and then this is a change of character low, and then in the future, once the weekly and the monthly open and the change of character on the daily happens, then for example look for shorting opportunity. Other than that, no setups there. USD JPY continued an overall dump down lower yesterday, with the overall yen and Swiss franc appreciating in value after that news came out. USD JPY swiped another low over here. Still, I'm favoring further longs on USD JPY, however, preferably from lower levels. Looking at these equal lows over here, that is where I'll preferably be looking to buy USD JPY from. At the moment, not really interested in getting involved, although I do like this overall liquidation and the fact that we're still situated within this imbalance, which is acting as a demand zone. It has the potential to push price up higher. However, for myself, the highest probability setup will come once we take out the equal lows, and I'll be waiting for that to happen before getting involved with any new potential long opportunities. Going into USD CAD remained extremely strong, again, due to that news that came out as the Canadian dollar weakened yesterday. So the USD CAD remains relatively strong. I didn't really move at all, to be honest. Saw even a light spike in towards the upside. Now USD CAD needs to reaccumulate still before looking for any new long opportunities. This currently is our area of daily demand, the overall sell before the buy up. So now you want to wait for lower prices to be reached before being able to get involved with any potential longs. Looking at USD CAD, you would need to take out liquidity, for example, here, maybe even here, or even over here, before being able to get involved with a new long. If it does continue to push up further in towards the highs, we're just creating more liquidity. So just let it rest at the moment and wait for reaccumulation to happen. This is also trading, guys, sitting on our hands until waiting for the highest probability setup to potentially play out. And then, of course, we have gold. Gold, I'm looking for further upside on it from a fundamental perspective. Still waiting for this to break out in towards the upside. Once we break out of this area of consolidation, that is the moment that I'll be looking for longs on the overall retest of the weekly and the monthly open. So that's overall what I have on my radar for today. Still looking at EURUSD. Preferably, we would still see further push up, but if we see that 4-hour change of character, we could get that potential short already to start aligning. And furthermore, I'm mainly focused on USD JPY, but it will most likely take some time still for it to develop. Thanks, guys, for watching. Wish you all a fantastic trading day and speak soon.